Speaking of directors, another name that sticks out to me on your CV is Sydney Poitier, who directed you in Stir Crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
what a luminary of film and trailblazer. I mean, for all people of color. Are there any memories that stick out to you, particularly about Sydney?
Oh, sure. I just did a small part in that. Uh, in the opening, I had a very memorable scene with Gene Wilder,
Yeah.
and so how that happened, and then you'll see about Sydney. So I auditioned for a different role that I wasn't right for. Mm, I just wasn't. But I auditioned for it. It's the role that really the lead, wonderful actress, uh, got the role. And so Sydney called me. He got my number, I guess, from casting. He called me up and he said, "Oh, hello, it's Sydney." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course it is, because nobody else speaks like that." And he said, "I'm sorry, but you're not right for the role." And I said, "Well, I actually know that, but thank you anyway." And he said, "Well, wait, no. There's this other role. It's small, but it's memorable. It's in the beginning. It's with Gene Wilder, and I want you to do it." And I said, "I don't know the role. Can you send it to me?" And so they dropped off the script. I read the script, and because he said, "When you read it, call me back." And I said, "Sure." I mean, he loved actors. He loved actors, and he was very respectful of actors. And he knew that. I mean, I had a good career, and already had a good career, and he knew that I probably wouldn't want to do it. And but when I read it, and I went, this is funny, and it's Gene Wilder, and it's Sydney Poitier, and yeah, I think I do. But I had criteria, uh, certain certain things I wanted to do it, and I knew my agent would never ask for those things, and I would. And so I called Sydney back and I said, you know, I do want to do it, and for all those reasons I just said. And he said, "Oh, it's wonderful, great, wonderful." And I said, "Yes, but I have certain requests." And he said, "Fine, what are they?" And I told him. And it had to do with money and billing and all the things that my agent should have been negotiating, but I knew that they wouldn't. Uh, and because of the size of the role, and also I knew that they would tell me not to do the role. So this all took place between Sydney and me, and no agents were involved at that point. And they were involved earlier for Jo Beth Williams. Yeah, she ended up doing that really, and she was wonderful, really wonderful. And I knew my agents would not want me to do the role, and they would not ask for what I was asking for. And so I was really over the top with my asks. And Sydney said, "Okay, so you want this, this, and this, and this, and this." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Fine, done." And that was that. And I was like, it was astounding. It was astounding because if we had put it in the agent's hands, or if we put it into the producer's hands or the casting hand, it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have gotten what I wanted. And he really wanted me to do it. And he wouldn't have gotten me. I wouldn't have done it. But because it was just the two of us on the phone, I got everything I wanted, and he got what he wanted, which was for me to do that role. And that's how that happened. And he was great. He was great. He was a taskmaster. I'll say that for him. It wasn't easy going on the set. He had a certain standard, and everybody had to come up to that standard, and fine with me. And he was dealing. We're talking about some major talent, major Hollywood talent, and it was great.
It's funny how you quite literally have rubbed shoulders with most of old Hollywood and new Hollywood.
Yeah.
Is there anyone from that you wish you would have gotten the chance to work with but haven't yet? So let's say now, is there anybody you'd love to work with now that's out?
Okay, this is gonna be crazy, I'd really like to do a Marvel movie. And I'd really like to work with all of those people on the Marvel movies because I really admire them that they can do that. That's the ultimate of make believe. And they can do it and they can do it brilliantly. And I would love to work with all those people that do Marvel movies. I'd like to work with Robert Downey Jr. I'd like to work with, oh my God, Patrick Stewart. Anybody in a Marvel movie, pretty much anybody in a Marvel movie, I would like to work with. And I think that maybe we're coming to the end of them. But I really admire everybody who's been in them, who's produced them, who's directed them. I love all that talent. It's just massive amounts of talent. And I just think they're all great. And I'd like very much to work with any of them.
You also worked with Nicolas Cage on one of his early roles, and you were directed by Martha Coolidge in it at a time when female directors were sadly still a bit of a rarity. What was your experience like on that film working under Martha?
You're talking about Valley Girl. Well, female directors are still a minority.
Yeah.
It's better than it was, but I know I direct myself, and I have tried to get a deal directing a film. I haven't succeeded yet, almost, but not quite. And so I'm directing Hollywood radio players and other things that I can just simply hire myself. And it was interesting. That was another thing I was just offered out of the blue. And actually it was my girlfriend called me, Colleen Camp, and said, I'm going to do this movie and you want to be in it? And I said, well, I don't know. Can I read the script? And so she sent a script. I mean, Colleen was just in it and was a friend of Martha's. She wasn't casting, and Colleen's a very, fine actress in her own right, and certainly a big producer now. And we're still friends. Just saw her recently. And so I said, yeah, this seems fun. And she said, well, there's not much money. And I went, okay, seemed like a little bit less fun then. She said, but it's a female director. And I said, it's a what? A female director. And that was like, I was done. It was like, sure. Who is it? She told me, and I never heard of her. She said, she's going to be big. And so that was like we had our 40th anniversary recently of Valley Girl. We had two huge events. One was at a Chinese theater, a Hollywood, very famous theater. And the other one was at Quentin Tarantino's theater because it's one of his favorite movies. And they were talking about Martha. Martha was there. We were all there, everybody, 21 of us, I think. And how shocking it was that it was a female director at that time. And of course, she went on to direct many, many, many more films. And she also became president of the Directors Guild of America, the DGA, she was the first female president. And so working with a female director was just wonderful. It was just a gift. It was so different. It was just a different sensibility. I loved it. I just loved it. And she's great.